Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. Basically, you're going to spend the entire day with me prepping and preserving stuff from the garden because, yeah, it's just that time of the year. I've got corn to freeze. I've got banana peppers. I'm pretty sure I'm going to can those. And I might get started on more blackberry jam. But first things first, I need to go downstairs, go through the freezer down there, and figure out what we have left from last year so I can get some of that used up today as well. I'm going to go head downstairs, basically climb in the freezer. That's why I'm in a sweatshirt. And yeah, let's just go do that. Let's get started. Okay, so before I could do really anything with preserving food, rather that's freezing or canning or anything, I wanted to go through our freezer that we have downstairs because that's where we keep most of our stuff that we have frozen from the garden the years prior. And we hadn't done this the last couple years, and you'll see that in the next clip. But I wanted to start with going through that to see what we had, what we could get rid of, what I could use, and kind of get out of there. And we also just throw random food in there, and if I make something and I like it, but I'm not going to eat the whole thing, I'll throw it in there as well. So, yeah. Okay, so this is the pile of everything that came out of this freezer down here. I have stuff all the way back from 2022. So I think what I'm going to do is just everything 22 I'm going to put in this bag to be thrown out. And then I'm going to carefully go through 23 and figure out, can it be salvaged? Like this bag of corn is from 23 and it doesn't look bad, so I think that's what we're going to do. So now that you've seen what we had in there, I'm going through and just throwing out stuff that I know is bad. Some of it didn't have dates on it at all. I was looking at it. If it was freezer burn, I was getting rid of it. If it smelled weird, I was getting rid of it. It's just, I hate throwing out food, but sometimes you have to. And in the case of the peppers, we had to because they smelled weird. We had some corn from 2022 that it dried out and was kind of freezer burns. We got rid of that. But this, mostly from the stuff from 23 on, is perfectly fine. And that's the stuff that's going to get used first. And that's why I used a bag of those peaches in this video. Okay, so this is everything I'm going to throw out. I just decided, since we have bell peppers, I'm just going to throw out the ones that aren't dated because I don't know how old they are. So, throwing those out. This is the last bag of shredded zucchini, so I'm going to go do something with this today. I want to do something with this bag of peaches. We have, yeah, there's 2 bags of peaches. That one and this one. I'm thinking this doesn't smell bad, so I think I'm going to keep these 3 bags of 2023 corn. This is from this year. These smell like onions. And I've got 2 bags of chopped zucchini for like, and then these 2 bags of peas are from this year. So okay, so now that I'm back upstairs and I've gone through the freezer and all that, I know what needs to get done. And I already had my list of what needed to get done this particular day anyway. But I started with cooking the remainder of the corn that we had, and then cutting it off the cob and freezing it in bags. And yes, it takes 2 pans to do this, and I was listening to music and stuff while I was doing this to kind of make it easier to want to do this, because this stuff takes all day. This video is an hour long, and this literally was 2 days of me being in the kitchen and me working on this stuff. Okay, so you will see me cutting off corn while I'm cooking the other corn that we had. And the reason I'm able to do that is because we had corn from the night before, because my mom had started this process the day before, and she had cooked some, and we just hadn't got it all off the cob yet, so she just put it in the bag, and I just started working on it that next day when I got started. And that was why my main goal for the first day was to get the corn done, and then everything else was either going to be later that day or was going to be pushed to the next day, and it ended up being pushed to the next day because it really does take 6, 7, 8, 9 hours to do all this stuff. So I really did spend like 2 full work days in the kitchen just doing this. And I don't mind it. I'm not complaining. It's just before you do this, I want you to have an idea of how much time this stuff really takes. And you don't have to grow the corn to be able to do this. We did, because we are lucky enough to have a garden, but my grandma cannot grow corn where she's at because even with the fence, the deer will jump the fence and eat the corn. So she just buys. So my uncle bought her this year 4 dozen ears of corn, and she cooked and froze that. And we don't sometimes, honestly, yeah, if you count the number of times we do this, because we'll do it, this is the 2nd time we've done this year, and we've got, but since we grow it ourselves, sometimes the ears are smaller, and depending on the type of corn, you're going to have smaller ears and all that too. But we do this a lot, and we do this at least 3 times, because we still have corn out in the garden. And if we do get a massive amount of corn, we'll probably freeze some of that too. But honestly, I think the corn might be the easiest thing that gets done, because you just cook it, and then I transfer it to a sink full of ice water to let it cool just enough to where I can handle it, and then I just cut it off. But that's the easiest thing I think I did the entire time, because it doesn't require measurements. It doesn't require a certain amount of cooking time, or I don't have to can it. It's just cook it like I'm cooking corn on the cob to eat, and I just cut it off instead of eating it. And you don't have to chill it in the ice water. I just like to do that so I can handle it and I don't have to wait for it to cool off. Okay, so I got 7 more bags of corn ready to go in the freezer. Then I think I'm going to get started on zucchini bread. And these still are not thawed out enough. Well, yeah, they are. Okay. So yeah, we'll do zucchini bread and peach cobbler next. Okay, so I did want to get some baking done the first day as well, because I pulled the peaches and the zucchini out of the freezer, mainly just to make room for some other stuff. But I'm starting with peach cobbler. I'm using Paula Deen's recipe, so I will link that down below, but it was really easy. All I had to do was melt the butter in the oven, and then I mixed together a cup of sugar, a cup of flour, or a cup and a half of flour and a cup of milk. And then when the butter was melted, I dumped that in the pan, and I sprinkled the peaches on top of it. And no, it did not change anything because the peaches were frozen. All I did was I had to bake it like 5 minutes longer than the recipe said, because I think they added liquid from the frozen peaches, but it didn't change the taste or anything. And the peaches had already been cooked the way Paula Deen's peach cobbler recipe says to do it. So that saved a lot of time on this. And I will link that recipe down below in the description box. while the peach cobbler was baking, I got started on zucchini bread. I'm just making the snickerdoodle zucchini bread like I have done multiple times. I've showed this recipe at least 3 times on this channel now, and it's just our go-to zucchini bread. If we're not in the mood for chocolate zucchini muffins, this is what I make because everybody eats it, everybody loves it. I'm just going to link the recipe down in the description box, or I'll link the video down in the description box that the recipe is in. That way you can get this, but I'm not going to talk you through this recipe again when you could just go watch the video or click the link. cobbler when it was done baking. Like it's a little bit paler in the middle, but that's normal. And it really is as good as it sounds, and as good as it looks. And that's the zucchini bread. Yesterday I did not get everything done. I did not get any canning done at all yesterday. So today, which is day 2 in this vlog, is going to be canning, and I'm hoping I can get some onions chopped up and frozen, as well as peppers, and possibly shred some zucchini and freeze it. So yeah, I'm gonna go get started. I think I'm gonna start with canning banana peppers today because that was my goal yesterday, so I think that's just what we're going to start with today. Okay, so I just put all the peppers in the sink. And I'm just kind of letting them soak and get cleaned up a little bit. So we can get started. Okay, so it's the next day, and I'm starting by cutting up banana peppers. And these were supposedly sweet peppers. I wasn't using gloves for that reason. You'll see later in this video that I am wearing gloves when handling peppers. Reason why? These either were hot peppers, and I had no clue because they didn't smell hot, or the juice from the jalapenos from where I just soaked everything in the sink, which you saw in the clip before this, got all over everything and made everything hot. So I ended up burning my fingers on my left hand and ended up losing an hour this day trying to get the burning to stop. So, yeah. But for banana peppers, I'm just kind of saying, just here's your little warning. To wear gloves when you're handling peppers, any type of pepper, it does not matter. Just wear gloves. And, these banana peppers, you do have to, depending on how you like them, I just decided I was just going to can them in rings because we're more likely to do that. Because we'll put those on pizza and eat them that way. So I cut off the stem, hollowed out the seeds, like hollowed out the pepper, and cut the rest of the pepper into rings. And some people say not to keep the bloom end of the pepper. I've never had a problem with it, so we always do. And you can cut these however you'd like. It's just with rings you get more in a jar. But I didn't have a ton of banana peppers. I ended up having like 1 quart jar full of these. But that's perfectly fine because we had some from a couple years ago. They're still on our canning shelf, which are perfectly fine to eat. It's just that I needed to get these out of the way, and this is how I decided to get them out of my way. Okay, so here I am mixing up the pickling liquid, I guess that's what you call it, for these. I am doing 1 quart jar. I had enough, like I said, I only had enough banana peppers for 1 quart jar. The original recipe is 10 cups of vinegar, 2.5 cups of water, and 1/4 cup of sugar. So I cut it, and I used 2.5 cups of vinegar, 3/4 of a cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. You got to be able to math like that if you're going to can, because I didn't want to make all of this pickling liquid and waste all of it, because the pickling liquid for jalapenos is completely different, even though that's what I worked on next. And this did give me I had an extra maybe 1/8 of a cup in this pan when I got done filling up my quart jar. Okay, so now here I am canning them, and I am going to tell you this one right now. I did not water backhand my peppers, and they sealed perfectly fine. As long as your jar is hot and the can and your liquid that you're dumping into the jar is hot, it should seal perfectly fine without water bath canning it. So that's completely optional. My grandma doesn't, so I didn't. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to, because I think this jar sealed within maybe, because I transferred it over to the other shelf in the kitchen where we keep all our canned goods and stuff, and this sealed within maybe 10 minutes of me transferring it over to that shelf. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the jalapenos. And the only thing that I did different with the jalapenos is I didn't take the seeds out. You can if you want to. I didn't. Because honestly, it's my experience that when you can stuff like this, usually the seeds come out anyway. And I don't mind a little extra heat if I'm grabbing a pickled jalapeno out of the jar, because what I'm usually using it for is nachos or pizza or something. So yeah, I want that little kick of heat. Okay, so now the pickling liquid for this is 6 cups of vinegar. I think 2.5 cups of water. And 3 cloves of vinegar. This did not have any sugar in it, I don't believe. Or, yeah, 3 cloves of vinegar. 3 cloves of garlic. I'm sorry. There goes my brain. Yeah, it had no sugar in it. It's water, vinegar, and garlic. And you boil that, let it simmer for 5 minutes, make sure it's the right temperature while you put your jalapeno slices, or your whole jalapenos, or however you want to do it, into your jar. This recipe is from the ball canning book. Supposedly my grandma's recipe for the banana peppers is also from the ball canning book, but I could not find it. So I will link the ball canning book down below. And this made 2 quart jars of almost a full. I didn't have quite enough to fill it, but I did put it in a quart jar anyway. Dang it. Okay, we'll see if it doesn't seal. We'll just put it in the fridge. And they all sealed, even though that one wasn't quite full. And it said the recipe was good for 5 half pints. So that should have given me 2 quart jars, and it gave me 3. So after the jalapenos were done, and I didn't water bath those either, I got it started on blackberry jam. It's 9 cups of blackberries and 6 cups of sugar. So I just dumped my 9 cups of blackberries, frozen, maybe a little bit more, into that pan. It didn't change anything. And then you just cook it. And then if you want it seedless, you run it through a food mill, which you will see me do in a couple of clips. But and yeah, this was freezing my hands. That's why I was shaking my hands there. And yes, everything I'm using is clean. So while I used the same measuring cup for measuring out the vinegar and measuring out the blackberries, it was clean. It didn't have vinegar in it anymore. And I know a lot of people go, ew, you do that. And then I laid the blackberries on the stove. The stove was clean too. And yes, this is a 10-pound bag of sugar. And when you're doing stuff like this, it takes a lot of sugar. And I will probably end up doing another canning video later on. Mainly because we have to make pickle relish. And I would like to film that and show that. So, yeah, if you like these canning videos, definitely let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. So I will know to make more. Because I'm doing it anyway. So I may as well film it. That's why you got 2 days of me canning and preserving food, because I did do it anyway, and I figured I may as well share it with you all, because it might help somebody. Like I said, you could run it through a food mill if you want it seedless. Supposedly you're supposed to do this, supposedly you're supposed to cook the blackberries a little bit, run it through the food mill, then put it in a different pan, and then add the sugar. We didn't do that. It didn't change anything. So yeah. Okay, so now that everything is cooked, I am starting to can the blackberry jam. This liquid is hot. I just kind of want to let everybody know that, because you can see the steam coming off of it, and it is still liquid. It's starting to thicken up a little bit, but it is mainly liquid still at this point. But I'm just filling the jars. This made 6 half pints and 2 pints. And out of the 8 jars, only 1 did not seal. And I think that was my fault. I don't think I put the ring on tight enough, so the flat didn't stay tight enough, and it got a little bit of liquid in it. I think that's why it didn't seal. But when I picked it up to get it out of the water bath canner, it was already kind of leaking. So yeah. But you only put the rings on fingertip tight, so yeah. It may not have been my fault. It may have been. I don't know. And you can see where there's where it's gotten a little bit thick, and there's a little bit of like jam already. The rest of it's like liquid, and then once it sets and gets cool, it all sets into jam. So that may have also been part of it. My liquid may have not been hot enough. I don't know. I could go all over this all day and try and figure out what I did wrong, but you never know, and the rest of it turned out fine. So, this will be water bath canned, just because it is jam. And like I said, you can water bath can the peppers as well. I just didn't feel the need to, and they all sealed without me having to. If they wouldn't have sealed within like 2 or 3 hours, I probably would have. But you're supposed to do it. Give yourself 12 to 24 hours to let it seal naturally. But like I said, I didn't have a problem with them sealing, so yeah, didn't do that. But these will go into a water bath canner and process for 15 minutes once the water starts boiling, and then they cool for 5 minutes. And and I didn't show me putting them in the water bath canner. I should have. But while I was waiting for those to process, I'd kind of already started cutting up the peppers. Because you'll see this clip was from before the jam was in there cooking, that pan behind that. But I had to move everything over so I could finish that process out. And I just kind of grouped it like this because I know if I would have edited this video the way I filmed it, people would have had a fit because it was out of order. But more or less, I was doing this waiting for everything to come up to temp so I could strain out the berries and all of it. So I could strain out the seeds. And then while everything was in the water bath canner, I was also chopping up peppers. And I did this 2 different ways. I chopped them up in strips like this. And I also just left some of them where I just cut the sides of the pepper off and cut out the pith. And I froze them like that. Because that way, if I need them bigger or smaller, I can just cut them up as I take them out of the freezer. And these do not take long to thaw out. And everybody says you're supposed to cook your peppers before you do this. I never have. I have no problem with it. I cut them like this. I put them in a freezer bag, seal out make sure there's no air left in it, write a date on it, and then go in the freezer. And they are perfectly fine. And usually gone before we even have more peppers. Sometimes not. This year they're not because we had a ton of peppers last year, but we only have like 3 or 4 bags left. So I am going to go on and start making new bags of peppers to use next year. Okay, so we have 1.5 bags of peppers. I'm going to continue to fill this one up as I go, and this one's going to get stashed. We do have peppers from last year still, so I'm not planning on using those yet, so I might move those downstairs. I also did not get around to the onions today, and I'm not going to. It is 6 o'clock. I'm still waiting on the blackberry jam to be done, and these can wait. And I can always include that in another video. Okay, so these are done processing. So I'm going to let them cool in the pan for, I don't know why they call it cool, because they're not really cooling. It's just kind of let them set in the pan for an extra 5 minutes. Then I'll remove them out to cool and seal. And once they're cooled off enough and possibly sealed, hopefully sealed, I will write what they are on top of the lid. Okay, so this is everything I got. Like I said, 8 jars of blackberry jam, 3 jars of jalapenos, and 1 jar of banana peppers. So, yep. I just wanted to hop on here and close out this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button. Any recipes or any general recipes that I used, I will put in the description box. If I don't, let me know and I will put them there. So, yeah. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.